Excellent. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our application tips and tricks for international students webinar. My name is Ryan Togred. I'm the Assistant Dean for Enrollment Management in the Graduate School of Education's Office of Admissions. And we are joined today by Ashfiq Rizwan, a doctoral student in our Counseling and School Psychology PhD program. So, before we get started, Ash, why don't you unmute yourself and just say kind of where you're from, what you're studying, and give maybe a fun fact about yourself.
Thanks, Ryan, for the nice introduction. So, hi, I'm Ashfiq Rizwan. I'm originally from Bangladesh, and currently I am doing my PhD in counseling psychology, which is under Graduate School of Education. So, fun fact about me is I'm an actor. So that I do it as a fun, as a hobby. So yeah.
Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate that. As we get started here, what we'll do this evening is we're going to go through some basic information. I think we think is important to share, with, especially international students, about the application process as individuals are thinking about applying to a program in the Graduate School of Education. And then from there, we'll open up to some question and answer with myself and Ashik. And as you have questions, please put them in our chat box. That would be really helpful. So the chat function is the best place to share those questions. You can put them in now. You can wait till our Q&A. And Ash, as I go through, if you've got some insights that are more helpful than what I'm saying, unmute yourself and jump in at any time, because you are the expert here more than I am, if anything, as we go through. So we'll get right into it. So first and foremost, I think the biggest piece of information that I talk to students about is that understanding the context of the United States higher education system and preparing to understand what the programs you're interested in offer is a really important component of the application process and the application experience, especially for students who are coming from an international context. And what I mean by that is really preparing and understanding what the programs mean, and understanding what the program offers you and what they would study in comparison to doing that at another school. The biggest way I explain this all the time is that we say no two programs are the same. So a counseling psychology or school psychology program at the University of Buffalo may look very different than what is offered at a different school in the United States, even though they're named or have the same name in them. So doing research on the faculty members, the coursework, the alumni jobs that are gained from going through that program are a really important part of the experience of considering applying to a program. So we always encourage folks to do that and talk to the admissions office and faculty members. And if you're applying to a PhD program, reaching out to faculty who are accepting students can be a really helpful way to start conversations, build relationships, and kind of make sure that you best understand if this program is a right fit for you. We're really proud of the University of Buffalo being a prestigious institution as part of the SUNY system and being, a member of the American Association of Universities, the AAU. However, we want to make sure that the individuals applying also understand the unique aspects of what our faculty cover and the unique components of what the program offers for you as well. So doing that research on not just the prestige of the program, but how that program is the right fit for you as well. One piece of advice I'll give on top of that as well is that we actually have a number of current students, both international and domestic students, in our programs that could talk to you through a system we call UniBuddy about their experience. And if you'd like to talk with one of our current students, you're able to do so by signing up for that online system. I put a link in the chat here. A number of these students are from programs across the university, but they can give some valuable insight, much like Ashfeet can this evening, in thinking about programs. So I will stop talking for a second. Ash, I'm going to actually ask you a first question here. When you were thinking about applying to a doctoral program, how did you go about researching what programs were a good fit for you?
Yeah, thanks, Fran, for because it was not a easy decision for me because of my background. I would say I at first did a undergrad and master's in pharmacy, then I moved to public health, and I was actually thinking of like going to a program in public health. And later, when I found out this program in counseling psychology, that really attracted me in a way that it follows a scientist practitioner model. So that's something that, because I wanted to do research but I also wanted to do some kind of practice with therapy. So I think that that program really, I attracted me, because most of the like psychology program, different places, they train you to be researcher, like if you go into different but they don't like you don't get to do the counseling or licensing part of it. And our program is accredited by American Psychological Association. So I think that scientist practitioner model really helped me to decide that, okay, this is something that I want to do. I want to do research, and I also want to be a therapist. So that's something got into my attention.
You know, I think that's a really important part here of the research component of, are you hoping to become a practitioner? Do you want to be a researcher, a scholar? Are you hoping to get a credential? Are you hoping just to take coursework? What do you want to get out of the degree? And does what you think the University of Buffalo offers do that for you, right? I think that's a really important part of understanding the why behind what you're hoping to do. So thank you for sharing that. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So let's move on. As we go through too, I think another important component is, once you've identified or realized that a program is a good fit for you, you want to be able to practice the idea of planning out where you'll be applying, right? Every application, every school is going to offer or ask for different requirements, different letters of recommendation, different transcripts, different admissions essays, different components all across the spectrum. So being organized, using time management skills to make sure that you don't forget or miss some of the key components of what is important to you is a really critical part of the admissions process. Along with that, every application you may go through, both in the Graduate School of Education or in other programs as well, may have completely different requirements in terms of what the admissions essay asks of you in terms of a career goals statement or a statement of interest or a statement of purpose. And one of the things we notice with students, whether they're domestic or international, is that it's sometimes very clear that students have not read the prompts or the essay or the personal statement requirements of what we hope someone will actually speak to in their statement of interest. And that's a really important part of the application, because from the faculty side, it makes clear and shows that you've taken the time to read the website and understand what is required of you. On top of that, it speaks to why the faculty or why the coursework in this program is the right fit for you as well. I've put a link in the chat to our higher education PhD program for you to take a look at if you'd like to, as an example. This is a doctoral program. You may be applying to a master's program, depending on what you're hoping to do, where they give a very specific prompt and an item they hope you will respond to. This is a really important part to not only show that you've read the statement that they're hoping you will write, but also as well that you have strong writing skills. Can you answer their question in 500 to 1,000 words? Can you write an active voice? Can you write, concisely in order to exhibit to the faculty review committee that you're not only a good fit, but you kind of have some graduate level writing skills along the way. So please be mindful of these parts as you're thinking about applying. Ash, I'll ask you to jump in. What was it like as you prepared your application materials? What was an important part that
Right.
maybe was a surprise to you about the U.S. higher education system?
Yeah. I think about the personal statement that you mentioned, it's very, very important. I think that will actually give an idea to the faculty and the advisory board, like whether they want to bring you in. And one thing about that worked for me, and also maybe I would give a suggestion that always try to link the personal statement with your life stories. If you want to start something, like for example, why is that, why you want to come into this place, and if there's something that happened in your life, like for example you are interested in education, if something that you noticed that you wanted to change but you couldn't, and something that happened to you, so always if you can relate it to your personal life, that actually gives an idea that okay, that might be your motivation to come to this place. So I would think about a story of your from your own life that you can connect to. And also about this US higher education, I would say that reaching out to faculty members is very important before you start applying, because you want to know like who are the person you want to work with, and also your what are the things that you are interested in, what are the things that you are passionate about. And then if you find some faculty members who are working in the same similar area, you can go and look at their recent publications. You can go their publications page. And also I think I would suggest like you use the Google Scholar to find out what are the recent publication or recent research they're working on. That would give an idea like okay, this is something they are currently working on and this is aligns with my research interest. If you can read those articles, make a summary, and then send them an email that okay, I have read some of your papers and it really got my interest, I would be willing to talk to you further on it. And I would say that most of the faculty members are they respond to the emails, and they look at their like if they got interested, you can do a Zoom session, you can further talk more about it, and then that will really help you if they like in the initial interview, if they like you, then it, like for example, when they will sit as a group, when they will make those decisions, they will think of you, that this might be a potential participant or a student that we can bring in. So for the statement of purpose, always link it to your personal story and your motivation, your passion for this field. And also I would say that faculty research is like researching around faculty is very important, because you need to know who you want to work with.
Those are all fantastic, fantastic points, right? And I think many international students are often surprised that faculty members may respond so openly to these conversations and introductory emails. But it is, especially for PhD doctoral programs, this practice is encouraged. So we would hope that you would do that if you do find a connection with a faculty member as part of the what we call recruitment process going through. Additionally, as well, another component of the application process is your letters of recommendation. And I want to make sure that folks understand these are another critical component, important component of the application process. And I want to take a step back here. The Graduate School of Education no longer requires nor looks at standardized test scores. A GRE, an MAT, an LSAT score, those are no longer considered as part of the review process for lots of valid and important reasons, because of the biases in testing that have been noticed by scholars in education over the last 20 years. However, that makes items like your personal statement, your letters of recommendation, and your resume that much more important in a holistic review, an entire review of your file that looks at your coursework, your grades, and all of these other components that are important. Now, with recommendations, one thing here is we hope you consider the diversity of people that you've encountered in your life that can write strong letters of recommendation for you, whether those be professors, supervisors in a lab, supervisors at an internship site, supervisors at a work site, someone who has managed a volunteer opportunity that you have done. You may think widely and broadly about those opportunities as well to find strong individuals to write letters of recommendation. And this also may be someone that you have not actually taken a course with in many years, but you could reach out to write that letter of recommendation on your behalf. Additionally, if you are coming to or looking at a program that has an internship component or a clinical component, having simply individuals who've seen you in coursework, faculty members, may not be the strongest letters of recommendation. They can maybe speak to skills you have in a lab, skills you have working with students or children, the critical thinking skills, thinking, working, juggling multiple priorities. How can they speak to who you are as a person and also who you are as a potential graduate student? We would encourage you to avoid um, asking personal friends or family members to be letter writers, but those who you've worked professionally or through a volunteer experience as to speak to projects you've done and who you could be and your potential as a graduate student. And for some individuals, getting three letter writers can be difficult. But if you think about all the experiences you've had in the classroom, in your community, you may be surprised who could write those letters on your behalf as part of your graduate school application. Ash, what might you want to add in about your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that take your recommendations very, very, very seriously. One good recommendation can be a game changer, and I think, as Ryan told, is that it can be someone that you have worked for, and also, like maybe you have worked in a research with someone who knows about your research skills. That person can give you a good recommendation too. So maybe you co-authored in a paper with someone or someone, but also it's very important to find out with someone who knows you very well for at least 2 to 3 years, so that they can speak for that. And also, it's very important because sometimes if you have a recommendation and a recommender, like they give different reminders, certain reminders, and some recommenders are not, like so much competent, like they don't give it in a certain deadline. So you need to have that relationship so that you can give them and nudge them a bit, that okay, please send my recommendation on time. Because sometimes you have put into your application, if the recommendations doesn't come in on time, that can hamper your application process. So it's very important that you have good relationship with them in a way that they can do it on time.
That's an excellent point, and the idea of having someone who's known you for some amount of time is, I think, an important component as well. And as you do that, just being mindful of that person can speak to not just oh, this person took a class with me and got an A. That's great, but if they don't know anything about you, the letter will not seem as genuine or authentic as you're competing, for lack of a better term, with other applicants who've thought about that. So just it's an excellent point about time and that someone knows you well too. So thank you for that. I want to jump to one more important component that, as international students, you will have some additional items that are required of you as part of the application process as well. Your passport biographical page is a very procedural component that we will need. If you're admitted to a program, we need that more than anything. Just be prepared for that. But the additional piece that I want to make abundantly clear is that a test of English language proficiency is required for many students as they go through the process. So just being prepared to have taken that examination, or letting us know. We'll know if you are exempt from the exam as well. There are a number of countries that, if you have taken coursework or a bachelor's degree from these countries, I put a link in the chat, you are exempt from taking the exam. But for many students, it is required. Also, too, there is a minimum score. And as you go through, certain programs have higher minimum scores than the university score as well. So I want you to be prepared to know what those scores are, so that if you're taking the exam and or you're setting that score, to the University of Buffalo, you are ready to do so. Additionally, ideally, that exam has been taken in the last 2 years, so that you can, it is a recent reflection of your English language skills. Additionally, with that as well, there are opportunities to ask for a waiver of that, but those are only offered on case by case and in very, very, very rare circumstances. So being mindful of that as you're preparing for you to take your English language exam, and to be mindful if the country that you receive your bachelor's degree in fits within the time frame and the exemption list that I've provided below. Additionally, the last component, and I'll jump to the question after that, financial documentation in your bank statement. So if you are an individual who is applying to a program that, a non-doctoral program, for example, just be mindful that these are requirements, but they are not requirements for admissions review. For example, if you're applying to a master's program of ours, you do not need to show us financial documentation or a bank statement to be considered for the academic review component of the program. If you're admitted and you are admitted without funding, you would need to show us these documents in order to be for your I-20 to be processed, but these have no bearing or weight on the academic review of your application by faculty members as well. Along with that, if you are considering or applying to a doctoral program, I want folks to be prepared for and ready to know that there are a number of funding opportunities available through the Graduate School of Education for those applying to PhD programs as well. So just being mindful of that. There are a few questions in the chat that I want to jump and answer, and then we'll start go from there. If you live in the US but have international coursework, are you considered an international applicant? International applicants are identified by anyone who does not have United States citizenship or permanent residency. So you may have taken a degree, you may have received your bachelor's degree abroad in a country that's not the United States, but if you have United States citizenship, you are a domestic applicant for the university's purposes. So just be prepared, be mindful of that. So we definitely have students who do that. It is all based on your citizenship, not where your degree was granted from. Additionally, there was a question about doing the master's degree in the US. Yes, you are exempt from needing an English language proficiency exam if you are completing a master's degree in the United States. That is one of the bullets that allows for an exemption and or a waiver as long as you meet the GPA requirements that are outlined on the website. So thank you for asking that, but that should give you the automatic exemption for an English language proficiency exam there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Another question that's come in. These are great. I will keep asking them, folks. If you're a master's applicant at Canisius, which is a local Buffalo university, and you want to apply for a PhD program, do you need a bank statement? You do not need a bank statement to be considered for admission for a program. If you are admitted without funding, you will need one for us to generate a new I-20 for you, but it is not required for admissions review on your application to submit your application. So that is an excellent question asked. Thank you. Ash, any comments you want to share on these items? If not, that's okay too.
No, I think you have covered.
Yeah, very good, very good. So I'm going to stop sharing for a few moments now, and just again, I want to open it up to questions from the audience for myself or for Ashfik. If you have some specific items that you would be interested in hearing about his perspective, or from some expertise or items that either of us can provide about the application process. So I'll start with one, and then if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. That might be the easiest way to ask them. Ash, if you have any suggestions or tips outside of what we've shared so far, what would be the one thing you would want folks to know as they consider applying to the Graduate School of Education?
Thanks, Ryan. I think there's some people here who are already familiar with the U.S. master system, as I can see, like they're here. So you can also jump in and share your experience if you want, whenever you want. I would say that, like transitioning to the life in U.S. higher education, is exciting, but as well as it can be challenging in many ways, because the thing is, like, it's not only about you're coming with an education. There is a cultural difference. You have to adapt, you have to live here. If you, especially if you don't have any funding, then you have to find out ways, like how can you you can like you can survive here. So it can be challenging sometimes, but I would say the most interesting part is that the US education system itself, and that will require you to be more, like, engaging. It's more immersive, like how you can apply the theories in your own practical life once you graduate. And also the teachers are like, it's more experiential learning, I would say, where you can learn by experience. And I think there are some lot of opportunities in, especially in education. Once we go out, we can work in the school system, we can work in different counseling centers, but also in, if you're in education, there are different opportunities. There are several opportunities that you will get here in the US that you will not get in any other countries. So the great American dream that you hear, that you can make your dream come true in the US, and that's the most exciting part of it. So I would say that when whatever you choose, whatever you think you will study, just, I would say that choose something that you love. The that choose something that you love to study, because eventually what I feel is that we have to do hard work in any, place we go, any work we do. So why don't we choose something that we love and we are passionate about? So maybe it might take 1 or 2 years later, like, to find your passion. But if you are really interested, then, and that your passion are aligned with your interest, then, like, magic can happen and you can thrive in any situation.
I think that's a fantastic perspective, especially given the, I'd say, equitable relationship that faculty and students have, especially in a school of education where, I have to imagine there's quite a bit of conversation in your courses. It's not a simple lecture that you are spoken at for hours at a time. So being prepared for sharing those passions and being able to speak to that for that amount of time is such an important part of the graduate school experience. So thank you for that. I'm going to jump in and answer two of these questions, and then we'll open up, see if anyone else has others too. When do you usually get an acceptance letter? So that's a good component, and it's done on a case by case basis. So if a program has a specific deadline on the website, you can expect to receive an admissions decision about 6 to 8 weeks after that deadline. So, for example, if a program has a January 1st deadline, I would anticipate you would receive an admission letter around the second week of February, for no later than that. If it's a program that says it has a rolling deadline, it's simply 6 to 8 weeks approximately after you submit that application. So just being prepared for that. Another question is about minimum standards for English proficiency score. I think that for certain programs, especially in teaching and the learning and instruction department, they actually have higher minimum scores than the university for their English language proficiency. In fact, for example, the TOEFL score minimum for the university is 79, and the score in that department is a 96, because of the amount of student interactions and the amount of communication skill and writing skill that is needed for those programs. Not that every program does not have those, but in preparing to become a teacher or in the learning sciences or curriculum development, a mastery of the English language is going to set you up for success as part of the process and experience of being at the institution. So yes, I think it is an important component. I do not think it is a disqualifier if you have one that is just above the university minimum. But an example of that might be if there are two students with similar qualifications, one with potentially stronger English language background may be considered for funding initially, and that could be a differentiator. Along with that, though, many programs have interviews as part of the application review process. And you may be able to show conversation skills and writing skills in a different way than a test, because we know not everyone is a good test taker, and that is a important component of folks' experiences. Other questions from our audience this evening? Anything else that might be important for folks? I want to make sure we get your questions answered before I ask any others to Ash. You're welcome. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so I think that with that, I will try to wrap us up a little bit early, but Ash, I will ask you one final item is that I guess maybe what was the process like making a decision once you were accepted, choosing the University of Buffalo's offer over others or over other opportunities? What about UB or what about the Graduate School of Education stood out as an important component that made this school or this program the right one for you in your next steps?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I think I would say in March, the Graduate School of Education arranged a very nice event where they brought in like possible applicants from different parts of the country, and I was fortunate to attend that event, and that was really eye-catching for me because I could see the warmth, and also I got to see Ryan and other people that was so welcoming. And also Buffalo as a city, I would say that Buffalo is considered to be a city of good neighborhoods. Although they may say like there's a lot of snow and this and happening, but I would see that Buffalo in general is very accepting and welcoming, and people, there is a diverse culture, and especially UB, I would say that focuses mostly on research. It's a public research university, and there's a lot of emphasis and funding that comes, like that encourages people to do more research. And also I think like the event that Graduate School of Education arranged for the upcoming like applicants, I have not seen in any other programs that they do that kind of stuff. In that sense, like when I came, I got to see the faculty, got to know about the Graduate School of Education. So that's something like really attracted me, and I decided, okay, this is the place I need to go.
That's excellent. Yeah, and for those who may be abroad and not in the U.S., we will offer opportunities to have that experience as close as possible if you are unable to make it to the U.S. as well. But yes, it is important for us to show you and connect you with current students and faculty throughout the process as we prepare. So we want to make sure that's the right fit for everyone. And a great question came in from Orlando too. In terms of a housing process, yes, for students who are admitted, we will absolutely explain to you housing options on campus and off campus or near campus as well. We know that for transitioning to life in a new country in Buffalo, you want to think about being able to be on public transit lines and about food, housing. We will connect you with other accepted students to see if you are looking for roommates. We will make sure that you can think through and make some kind of informed decisions about where to live on or near campus if you're admitted as well. That's a great question. Thank you. Any other questions from folks as well?
Yes. Yes. Hi, Ryan. I have one more question.
Sure.
Like you mentioned about housing opportunities, I have a family and 3 children. So what are the opportunities? Like we are interested on like campus housing. It's like, are there like facilities for families with children? What's included there? Like a parking lot, laundry facilities, etc. Like just quickly, if you can elaborate on that more. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So on campus, there are opportunities and some apartment complexes for individuals who have families. However, there are also places near campus with, parking, laundry facilities that may be cheaper than the on-campus options as well. And we share all of those, right? And we also make clear for someone, if you are planning to get a car, here is the way to do it, right? Depending on your program too, the university has a variety of childcare options that are not a part of your funding package, but we can guide you through where and what those are depending on the age of children. Also, with that too, there are private and non-for-profit childcare centers in the area too that we will again give you information to help you make some informed decisions about what's the right fit on campus or near campus in terms of that. The on-campus housing at UB does include parking. It does include, all kitchen amenities, etc. But again, it is an individual choice because some people feel that, it is just an easier experience living in some of the apartment complexes near campus rather than right on campus, just because there are other families and some international families that are nearby too. We have over 30,000 students at the university, and I want to say about 3,000 or 4,000 of those individuals are international students as well, with a portion of those international graduate students. Ash, I don't know if you want to comment on that component based on your experience as well.
No, I think you covered most of the part, but I would say like if you are leaving, thinking to leave off campus, so it's very important to find a place which has a good public transport facility. Buffalo do have a metro system. Like there's a subway metro that goes from downtown to the south campus. So the graduate school of education is currently in north campus, but I think in future it will go to the south campus at some point, in 2 years. So it's very important. And there is a shuttle that goes from south campus to the north campus, which is free for all the students. So it's very important to find out a place which is very close to the even Buffalo public transport system, which is a bus that goes different places, because at sometimes when you come, you might not have a car, so it's during the winter time especially, it's better to get a place where you can get the transport easily.
Thank you so much, Ash and Ryan. We will definitely depend on our children because they're all school children, mostly high school and elementary. So depending on that locations and the distance, that will be another factor of deciding where to live. So just last clarification, who would be the person to ask all these detailed questions about housing, schools, etc.?
So I think if you're admitted to a program, we can connect like so many of either myself in the admissions office or a faculty member in the department who has had a similar experience guiding students through this would be the person to talk to, as you want some specifics on school districts and where to move, because many of our students, whether they're domestic or international, have transitioned into doctoral programs while having families move with them as well. So we would connect you with individuals who lived in the city of Buffalo and the town of Amherst or other school districts to help you make some of those decisions.
This is fantastic. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. I want to answer two of these other questions. Corinne's is very important. All PhD applicants are automatically considered for funding graduate assistant and research assistant opportunities. There is no additional application for those for PhD students. If you're applying to a master's program, depending on the program, we will have different kind of follow-up items for you, depending on, again, which program you're applying to. But if it's a PhD program, you're automatically considered based on the application you've submitted. Another question. This one sounds like a higher education specific one. If you're a job instance as a hall director, what are your chances of getting into the PhD program in the first year of the job? I think that might be a good question to actually reach out to Dr. Margaret Salee if you're applying to the higher education PhD program. I'm actually a part-time student in it myself. I think an important part of thinking about your experience of transitioning from a professional role into a doctoral role is, are you prepared to take on a research intensive experience as a full-time student, that is different than a practical experience as a higher education practitioner? And how do you reflect your desire to take on, or your interest in that as a student applying to a PhD program? But I think that we have a number of webinars coming up with our higher education faculty and current doctoral and master's students. So that might be a good question to ask of one of those individuals if you've got the time available in the coming weeks or months. I'm actually putting a link to our program specific information sessions as you go through too. So very good questions. Any other questions that folks have before we wrap up this evening? Okay, I'm seeing none. Ash, thank you for your knowledge, your time, your experience. Thank you. I hope your first semester is going well while also challenging you in new and exciting ways. And I hope that for many of you who are here this evening, this webinar helped confirm your interest in applying to the Graduate School of Education. So thank you for your time and your energy, and we look forward to seeing your application soon. If you have any questions, email is often the best way to follow up. We will send this recording along as well in the next day or two from our office. Thanks, folks, and have a great day. Take care.